You are now listening to the voice of horror.
You think it's over now? You're wrong.
All aboard the night train.
It's over, Prime.
This is the siege.
I'm a man of my word.
Hey. Yeah. Dead or alive, consider this home. No killing the vibe in the Nightwatch zone. Xenomorphs hype when the lights come on. Hit like and subscribe and the show might blow. Go viral, no COVID, it's a spiral. Emotions, hand on the Bible. Only go sign and the dopest your vitals. Better tune in, yeah, you know it's vital. From Schwarzenegger to Kane Hodder, Corey G down to Harry Potter. Shit, Sigourney Weaver, love the Nightwatch zone. Come with me to the Nightwatch zone.
Well, there are two things a man should never run from, even if they cost him his life.
Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We've made it. This is the night. And wow, guys, this is so cool. It is unbelievable. But we've got the man here tonight, PIZOWELL himself, a person that is just a huge fixture just in the YouTube community and one of my personal inspirations. Brother, I'm just, like I said, backstage, we talked a little bit. This is just a really huge moment, and I really appreciate you doing this for me and this channel and the community.
Oh yeah, well, thank you for inviting me. Like I was telling you backstage, I wasn't familiar with your channel, but then after you asked me if I wanted to come on, I checked out a couple of streams and some videos, and I was like, all right, cool. This guy knows his stuff. I'll hang out. I can hang out with this guy for a little while. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Well, let me just say, Piz has been gracious enough to hang out with us for a little while tonight. So definitely, you guys in the live chat, if you do have questions, you guys know the routine. This is not the first time we've had a special guest. Definitely our biggest guest, no doubt. But leave us some questions in the live chat. I'll get to as many as I can. And obviously, if you guys do any super chats, that goes to the front of the line. But just to say a blanket hello, we've got some of our regulars here just to say hi to them real quick. And then I'm going to hit the ground running with Piz. Wiggs is in the chat saying 37 minutes. I can't wait. I've been waiting with extra G's. I love it. I love it. Welcome. We've got the general, our good friend and moderator Val's in the chat, letting people know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe. Make sure you guys subscribe to Piz if you haven't already, which I'm sure you have, but definitely do that. Denisha, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Gina, how's it going from across the pond? Me and Piz were just talking about that backstage. You know, so many folks around the world, to even have them be interested in listening to us rant and rave. It's truly amazing. Truly is.
Yeah.
Hey, Sarah, how's it going? Good to see you too, Sarah. Good to see you. Dice, hey, Dice, what's going on? Good to see you. Horrible show, what's going on? Welcome. And Jen, Melissa, wow, you guys are all right. Sylvia, what's going on? Phil from Phil's Creepy Videos, what's going on, bro? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Very cool. And my lovely lady Coriander's in the chat, hanging back. And she said she was just gonna, watch the show and let me geek out with Piz. Very, very kind of you. Very, very kind. Chuck, hey Chuck, good to see you too. Castellar's in the chat. Nanette, hey Nanette. Geriatric Geek, what's up? All right. The man, the myth, the legend, PIZOWELL. There you go. Phil is saying, "Hey, Piz, say hi to Jeremy for me."
Hey, Phil. Hope you're doing well, buddy.
Very, very cool. And yes, hello to everyone else who is here. All right. Very, very cool. So Piz, let's and my good friend Eric, one of my best buds, saying, "Welcome to the channel, Pizzelle. It's a fun place to be." True
Thank you,
enough.
Eric. Thank you.
True enough. True enough. And whoa, Ronan's jumping in with a super chat. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. You guys are just so kind. Just saying, good evening, everyone. Hope all is well. Thank you, Ronan. Seriously. We love you, man. Very cool. All right. Thank you so much, guys. So let's get this thing going. If you have any questions for Piz, throw them in. But Piz, I just wanted to, if just also to kind of touch base a little bit on what we said backstage. For you, as to me, such an experienced YouTuber, you still, can't believe the reach that you have and how this journey has been. I mean, to me, that's like crazy because I'm like, I mean, I get it, but seeing how that you've been doing this for such a long time with so much success and all the people that you've met in and out of the business, it's just crazy to hear you say that. How would you describe how you look at your journey in the state of being a content creator today?
I've always looked at it from a very um I guess macro perspective. Like I'm just a guy in a man cave talking about movies into a camera. And
Mm,
I, n- I like I was telling you before, yeah, before we went live, like I'm still I I the reach that one heavyset guy in Kentucky in his man cave can have just talking about movies is pretty is wild. It really puts a lot of things into perspective. I've gotten so many great messages from people over the years from all over the world saying things like, your videos helped me get through a divorce, or your videos helped me get through a death in the family, especially during the pandemic. I was live streaming a lot during the pandemic, and I had
mm,
so many people saying how much they were enjoying those live streams because it was just kind of an escape, and it was an escape for me too. I
hmm.
was just fortunate enough to have this platform,
Yeah.
and, I've had people tell me that I've saved their lives, like, these videos have saved their lives, and these streams have
Wow.
saved their lives, and that to me is just like, I it's very humbling, and,
Hmm.
um, but it just, yeah, just the impact that you can have, um, the positive impact that you can have still
Right.
to this day is just something that, I don't know, it blows me away.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I totally get it because, you probably look at it like you said, you're just doing something that you love to do, talking about things that you love to talk about. And for people to really take it to that level, it's, I suppose if you think about it too much, it might, it might feel really heavy on your shoulders, like a responsibility of sorts.
Yeah, I don't, I don't I think about it, but I don't. I mean, I don't like,
Mm,
I don't, I do think about it, and I do very much appreciate it, but it's not
hmm.
something that, I've always just done what I wanted to do with my channel, and, like, I've just always tried to be me and be fun and be positive for the most part, and that's just been my motto is,
Mm,
you know, it I I've always been like, when it stops being fun, I'll just quit. I'll just stop, you know?
hmm.
But
Yeah. Good
it's never
point.
stopped being fun after all these years. So,
Wow, man.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely something to and, in this live chat, we have, quite a few people in the community that are also, content creators, some of them just starting their journey. So, I definitely think that what you just said are really strong words of wisdom, is to just try to be yourself,
Mhm,
have
mhm.
fun, don't take it serious, but don't take it too seriously. There
Right,
has to
yeah,
be that balance,
yeah.
yeah.
I
Wow.
always say I don't take myself seriously, I
Mhm.
take my, I take my love of movies and of specifically the horror genre seriously, but I don't take
Mhm.
myself that seriously. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but I think that and I've had a lot of people over the years ask advice when they're going to start a channel,
Mhm.
and like you said, you just be yourself,
Mhm.
um, and be patient. I think patience is the biggest. I'll see people make like 1 or 2 videos,
Mhm.
and when those videos don't explode, you know what I mean?
Mm.
They stop. They're like, "Well, I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my effort." I've put,
Right.
because you have to step. You can't just drop into the game on with like a webcam and like a crappy mic or just talking into, the people today want quality, so you need to invest in
Mhm.
your channel, but at the
Right.
same time, so many people do that, and then, they spend all that time editing the video to get it as perfect as it possibly can, and then
Mhm.
nobody watches it, and they're done. It
Right.
takes time, and there's so many channels doing what we do, and, of
Mhm.
course, the algorithm, if you're a brand new channel, the algorithm sees you as the enemy. You're not to be trusted. So,
Yeah.
it's not gonna get your video's not gonna get out there. But, I mean, what matters is you're gonna find one person will find it, and if,
Yeah.
they vibe with you, then that's a subscriber,
Yeah.
and, you know, usually if that's a subscriber for life. If they really vibe with you, whether they agree with your opinions or not, it's just,
Mm.
if they feel like, you guys are, if you're connecting, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Good
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Patience, patience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a grind, man, because like you said, there's so many people that do this, and there's so many good content creators.
Mhm.
There really are. And so to think that you can just come in, like you said, drop a video, and then all of a sudden, bam, you've got all this success. It's just crazy talk, man, because you really got to. I can remember when we would first do live streams, we'd like maybe have two people that would like come into the live chat, and
Mhm.
we were like ecstatic about it. And of course, because no one knows you, you
Mhm.
haven't you
Mhm.
haven't established anything, you haven't worked for it. And I think that's a huge thing is, kind of like you said, be patient and just keep at it, keep
A
steady.
and networking is a huge, huge thing.
Mm,
So, like, getting with people who also are content creators who maybe have similar, um, fan bases or communities around their channels, you
mhm,
know,
mhm.
sort of networking and and just plugging, networking
Yeah,
and plugging, and, if you like so and so's channel, give them a shout out, help them out,
yeah,
retweet their new video, or, something like
mhm,
that. So
yeah,
I'd say networking probably these days is the most important way to
mm.
get just to start growth.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great point. That's a great point. And what's really cool is I think a lot of people that sometimes happens very naturally if they do have that connection, if they become friends, which of course, when we're all talking about our favorite movies, whether we like them or we hate them or we agree or disagree,
Mhm,
you're forming relationships. So, there's so
mhm.
many people right now in this live chat that we've all become basically a community, a family of sorts. And so there is that idea of being a network and supporting each other. And you're right, it helps out a lot. It
Mhm.
truly does, man. Good point, good point. um Val, thank you for putting Piz's link to his channel in the live chat. We really appreciate that. For you guys in the live chat, if you have not already, hit that link, subscribe to Piz. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. I've enjoyed his videos for, gosh, man, I've probably been watching your videos for at least 5 years, I
Oh,
would
wow.
say. Yeah, so one of my first, well, not my first video, but one video that I've probably watched of yours quite a few times. It was one of your rankings of the Friday 13th franchise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was the one where, because I think you've done it a couple times, if I'm not mistaken.
there's only one that sticks out to me. That's the big one.
The one where you have the gameplay of Friday 13th in the beginning?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. That was the one that I've watched a few times, and I loved it how you referenced a another channel, and you said this channel will remain nameless, and you were talking about, um their ideas of the rankings, and you
Yeah.
said yeah, I just loved it, man. It was a great way to start it off because you said, "I couldn't sit back any longer. I had to put my, 2 cents in here," and it was just really as a and I'm a huge Friday 13th fan, obviously, so,
Mm,
that really, drew me, and it wasn't the first video of yours that I saw, but it was one of the first that I actually revisited multiple times. Like, sometimes I just put it on if I'm driving in the car or if I'm at home doing something. So, anyways, kudos, man. Kudos.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, man. The original Fuzz in the chat saying, "Hey, what's up, guys? Love both your channels." Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Jeez, thank you so much. Very, very cool. Philip's in the chat. Hey, Philip, good to see you. And I think some other people have jumped in. Again, a blanket hello to everyone here. You guys rock. I'll get to a question here from my lovely lady here, and she loves seeing the videos with you and Jeremy, especially.
Mm.
Um, but she says, when you were thinking of starting your channel, was your brother Jeremy going to be a part of it, or was it by accident? I love the episode where you guys are playing the Friday the 13th trivia game.
Mm,
That is a good one.
mm. Well, I will. Okay, so anything in my life that's had any kind of longevity,
Mhm,
be it this channel, be it relationships, be it pretty much anything,
mhm.
I've walked into with very little preparation, with no plans. I literally one day no, okay, so my mother won a camera off of the Game Show Network.
Wow.
I've still got it. And she was like, "Do you want this camera?" And I was like, "Sure." And literally, I think that day or the next day, I stacked up a bunch of DVDs and put the camera on top of the DVDs, and I shot my first video.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just 'cause I'd become aware of this what I thought at the time was a really small community of people who were talking movies on YouTube, and I was like, "Well, hey, I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in."
Mhm.
And, that's literally how it started. There was no game plan. There was no plan beyond that video, really, and, here we sit all these years later. So,
Wow.
that was yeah, no plan whatsoever.
Mhm,
But I think it I'd talked about Jeremy in videos, and I'd mentioned Jeremy in videos, but
mhm,
I'd never brought him into a video. And I think the first video that I really went in depth with, talking about Jeremy was, it's called what's it called? The Power of Movies.
mhm.
Because for a long time, he was afraid to go to the movie theater. He would not go to the movie theater at all.
Mm.
I think he had a bad experience there when he was in school, and he's not
Yep.
somebody who likes to sit still. So I think they put him in the seat and was like, "You sit still." And he was just
Mhm.
in hell for 90 minutes having to sit still in this chair. So from that point on, would you mention the movie theater? No. It wasn't like no, it was no, it was an emphatic no.
Mhm.
But I it was the Suicide Squad that got him to watch movies. Not the greatest movie ever made.
Right?
Not the greatest movie ever. It'll always have a place in my heart though,
Yeah.
because that's the movie that got him into the theater.
Nice.
Well,
Nice.
that movie, and of course, I think Margot Robbie had a part in it too.
Yeah, of course, of course. Alright.
Um, but I remember at one point he wanted to go to the bathroom about halfway through the movie, and I kinda wondered on the way to the bathroom, is he gonna wanna go back or is he gonna wanna go home?
Mhm.
So I didn't wanna say anything, so went to the bathroom, did our business, and I just kinda waited to see what he was gonna do. He bolted it back to the theater.
Ooh, alright.
So, that was the movie that made him, a theater goer. So I think from there, then he took more of an active role in the channel, and,
Mm,
now we do all kind we shot a video tonight, well,
nice.
this afternoon, I should say, together.
Mhm.
So he he likes it. He hams it up for the camera. He knows when the camera's on, and he just,
Mhm. Very cool.
he's all about it. Yeah.
He's awesome, man. I remember, and I don't know if it was the first time you had actually brought him on camera, but I remember the first time as a viewer I saw him, and he's just so cool, man. Like you said, he hams it up. He seems like he's just so fun,
Mhm, mhm.
and I totally enjoy those episodes with him. And it's just like, wow. And I can understand that to a degree because, like I said, my brother, a lot of times he'll be on with me co-hosting, and it's just fun, when you have that relationship and you can do something like this where you share that passion with others. Very
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah,
Very, very
and
cool.
and he's like that off camera too. He's not playing a character. He's like that off camera too. He
Nice.
definitely he definitely keeps me, on my toes, that's for sure.
Well, that's always a good thing. That's always
Yeah,
a good thing. We got to stay on our toes, man. Very,
yeah.
very cool. Coriander, thank you so much for that. It's a great question. And I know she was burning to ask that. She had it written down and everything. I was like, I'll make sure I ask him. I'll make sure.
Well,
Very
thank you.
cool.
Thank you, Coriander.
Yes. Sarah's coming in with a $10 super chat. Lovely, Sarah. Thank you so much. We appreciate you and all your support. Um, she says, thank you so much for coming to talk to us tonight. I read in your YouTube bio that you grew up in the video stores and
Mhm,
came of
mhm.
age during the VHS explosion. What was your oh, this is good. What was your most rented VHS?
It's gotta be The Lost Boys.
Ooh, that's
It's gotta be The
good,
Lost Boys.
man.
Yeah, yeah. There
Bravo.
was there was actually a little, like, grocery store across the street from where we lived, and they rented movies too,
Hmm.
and I probably rented that thing at least twice a month. Like, I remember one time I was sick, I was home from school sick,
Mm.
and, my grandmother walked across the street and rented me The Lost Boys as if that would cure me. You know what I mean? That as if it was medicinal, you know what I mean? So,
Yes.
that's one that one's gotta be number 1 on the list. It's gotta be number 1.
Very cool, very cool. I wouldn't have guessed that, but I love The Lost Boys. It's a
Oh, yeah.
classic, man.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
classic. Oh
Oh, yeah.
my gosh. Sarah, thank you so much for that question. We appreciate you as always, as
Mhm,
always.
mhm,
Let's see, who else do we have in here? Return of the Disc in the chat. Welcome to the chat. Welcome,
mhm.
welcome. Saying Piz brought me here. We'll be checking out your channel night. Well, thank you so much. Much appreciated. And I'm sure as you can see, this is a really, really welcoming and fun community. So
Oh, yeah.
welcome.
Very much,
Welcome,
very much,
welcome.
yeah.
Yeah. And Val beat me to the punch. She had already said, welcome to the Nightwatch Zone, return on the disc. You guys are all right, man. These guys, seriously, and I'm sure you know what that's like, Piz. But when you have folks that are just so kind and supportive, it just
Oh,
makes
yeah.
everything so amazing,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Dr. Slaughter saying Jeremy is the coolest. He is cool, man. He
Thank you,
really
Slaughter.
is. Yep. Horrible show saying I think Piz and Jeremy just make an awesome combo for videos and the taste test too. Yes.
Thank you, yeah, yeah. We've got a big taste test video coming up, soon. We got a package sent to us that was full of, goodies, so,
Nice. That
yeah.
is awesome, man. Coriander saying Jeremy is adorable. Please give him a hug for me.
I
Oh,
will, I
you
will.
guys are so sweet. He is very, very cool. Val coming in with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Val, as always, the general herself, saying this is a great question from the net. What has been the biggest surprise you have had while being on YouTube?
The biggest surprise. Oh, man. Um Hmm. I'm always surprised to hear, just to briefly touch on what we mentioned earlier, just like I said, the positive impact that doing what we do can have on people. That's always a
Mm,
surprise.
yeah.
That's one of the most pleasant surprises, from being on YouTube. As far as, other biggest surprise, wow. I don't know. I mean, I've been on YouTube a long time and I've seen it grow and I've seen, I've seen them implement good things. I've seen them implement bad things. I've seen them implement really bad things.
Mm.
But I don't, I honestly, I think the biggest surprise is just you just mentioned it, the amount of support that
Mm.
people will, give you you know, for not just doing something that you love, but for, um I guess in a way we are entertainers, right? We're providing at least some form of entertainment, right? So
I suppose so.
so I'm surprised that anybody, like, even, when I stream or something and somebody drops a super chat, it's always like, wow, okay, that's, I mean, you're liking what I'm doing enough to drop a super chat. That's really cool. Or
Mm.
like somebody who takes that extra step and like they become a Patreon supporter. That's always surprising. Every time I
Yeah.
get an email like there's a new patron supporter, that's
Yeah.
always like, it's not just the money. It's the fact that someone would take that extra step
Mm.
to, to show you support.
Yeah.
You
Well, and
know?
also showing that they care enough about your channel and this passion of yours to and we talk about it here a lot, helping to kind of keep the lights on or making things a little bit less
Oh, of course. Yeah.
strenuous on you or whatever.
Mhm.
And I would have never thought, man, like I was telling you backstage before we went live, the pandemic was a big reason for me to even start this thing. And I knew I loved movies since I was a little boy. I knew I got some knowledge, and
Mm.
so I wasn't worried about that, but I would have never thought I would have made so many friends and made these connections. That's totally, it's just crazy. I would have never ever thought it. My original thought would be, okay, I'm gonna talk about some movies I love and and have some people watch it and that was it. But I've got people that I've literally become friends with and care for and they
Mhm.
care about me beyond just the channel. And I mean, what a blessing. It's just absolutely crazy.
I'm also still really surprised whenever somebody recognizes me in public. That's always a
Ooh.
big surprise too.
Mm.
Yeah. And
I can
sometimes
only
I'll
imagine.
and sometimes I'll notice people, like, staring at me, and I'll wonder, like, first I'm always like, "Oh, do I got a booger hanging?" Um, but, I mean, I am pretty noticeable. Yeah, I'm 6'4", I'm a big guy. I'm usually wearing a horror shirt that's got some creepy stuff on it. I've got long hair, I've got a beard, so
Right,
I stand out in a crowd. But sometimes, like,
right,
I'll notice people are staring a little longer, and I wonder, like, I wonder if they're like, "I know that guy from somewhere," you
right,
know?
right, right, right.
And some
Yeah.
people, I've got messages from people who are like, "Hey, I saw you here, but
Uh-huh.
I was too nervous to come up and say hello." My favorite encounter was I was in a bookstore one time,
Mhm,
and, like, I felt eyes on me,
mhm.
and I kinda looked over, and above one of the stacks, there was a guy staring at me, and he looked away really quick. And so, like, a couple of minutes later, I felt eyes on me again, so I kinda looked over, and it was the same guy, but he was in a different part of the bookstore, and he
Uh-huh.
was staring at me, and he looked away really quick.
Oh, man.
And I was like, "Okay, I'm not is this guy gonna come over and hit on me, or, like, what's going on here?" And eventually, and then shortly thereafter, I felt a presence standing beside me, and there he was, and he was like, "Hey, are you Piz?" And I went, "That's me." So, he was like,
Nice.
Yeah, he was like, "I love the channel, I love blah, blah," But my favorite encounter, I ran Jeremy and I ran into a viewer and his young son in a comic book store one day,
Oh,
and
cool.
the little kid was looking up at Jeremy like he was looking at a movie star.
Oh.
And of course, Jeremy was just oblivious to everything. He was like,
Mhm.
he's in the comic book store. He's looking at comics, you know what I
That's right.
mean?
He's on a
He
mission.
he's all about the comics, but
Right.
the dad said something really nice to me. He goes, I can watch your channel with my son."
Mm.
He was like, I can't do that with many others, but I can watch your channel with
Wow.
my son." So,
Wow.
but it was
Bro,
so
that's
funny.
wow. That's cool.
Yeah, but it was
That
so
is
funny
so
because
cool.
the little boy was staring up at Jeremy, just wide-eyed and just mouth open, and just like Jeremy was a movie star, and Jeremy's just completely just oblivious to it. So,
Did you mention it to Jeremy afterwards or ever have a conversation about it?
not really, not really.
Yeah.
People run up, people meet Jeremy, people recognize Jeremy a lot.
Mhm.
He runs around with our mother, and like she'll tell me every now and again, somebody came up and just started talking to Jeremy like they knew him. I didn't know him, but they somehow knew Jeremy. Jeremy's kind of a big deal, you know what I
He
mean?
is.
So
That's
yeah,
cool.
it's funny. That happens every now and again, and she's always just like, I didn't know him, but they knew Jeremy. So
Yeah, that's cool. And also, the fact, and by the way, Val, thank you for that question. It was a great question, and I
yeah, great
appreciate
question.
the super chat so much. But the fact that he had said that he can watch your content with his son, I think that's a very important thing too, and it
Mhm,
just shows that you're able to talk about these things. And some of these horror movies can be kind of rough,
mhm,
but you can do it in a way where people can still feel comfortable to let their children watch. And to me anyways, I think that that is a very skillful thing, because there are a lot of content creators, and there's no shade to them. I can still appreciate their content, but there's some
mhm.
content creators that I wouldn't let my little one watch, and
Right,
it's
right,
like,
yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah, very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Nanette, you actually, it's funny. Val did that question for Nanette, and then Nanette put the question. Nanette, feel free to ask another question for Piz, but thank you for that super chat. You guys are so cute. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, let's see. Oh, Dice has, this is a great question. Dice, you're all right, Dice. Dice says, what's a horror movie you dread someone bringing up?
Hmm, hmm. It's gotta be Rob Zombie's Halloween. It's gotta be that one. And listen, there's no shade to anybody who likes Rob Zombie's Halloween. I know there's lots of people who like Rob Zombie's Halloween.
That's right.
It just was not, it was not my thing. I've said
Yeah.
this before and I'll say it again. It was the most depressing movie going experience of my life.
I remember hearing you say that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I remember hearing you say that. Well, it's funny because on this channel, obviously, and it's by no surprise. We've talked so much about the big three, and
Mhm.
with the current trilogy that just came out, there's still so much talk about the whole Halloween franchise.
Oh yeah.
And we had gone through the whole franchise, and when we hit Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2, man, those were episodes that was just so, we kind of dreaded them. I know Coriander dreaded them a little bit, and
Mhm.
I kind of did too, but they were great streams because of all of the different angles of comments and viewpoints and likes and dislikes and so forth. And so I get it, man, because when that movie came out, there were a lot of things I enjoyed in it, but there were a lot of things that kind of were like, I wish this went this way, and so forth. But yeah, I get it. Great question, Dice. Great
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dan, our good friend Mr. Dan's in the chat. What's going on, Dan? I'm glad that you came here. A big horror movie buff, and I'm sure you're going to be hearing some great stuff from Piz as we continue our conversation. Phil coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, Phil. Oh my gosh, man. Saying, hey Piz, love you, man. My favorite subgenre is 80s slashers. Oh gosh, what's your you guys are something. What's your all-time favorite 80s slasher movie?
Mm.
Wow.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. Um, my all-time favorite 80s slasher. The one that hits all the one that just hits all the right keys with me is The Burning.
Mm,
That
okay.
one just hits the spot. There are so many great 80s slashers,
Mhm.
but that's the one, like it all it hits, like I said, it hits all the right notes. It's got all the prerequisites that I look for in an 80s slasher. You
Mhm.
know, I love the cast. I love the very memorable characters. The
Yes.
dialogue's great. I love the look of the movie. I think it's a really stylish movie.
Mhm.
Um, and the kills. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So mean too. Just so
They
mean.
are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That raft kill just just mm, mm, mm,
That
mm.
still hits hard for me too, man.
Oh yeah. Good. So good. Just so good.
Nice.
And so yeah, that one to me, that's like the ultimate 80s slasher for me. It just mm, yeah.
It's a good choice, good choice. I had a feeling you might say that. I had a couple other in my head, but that was one of them. Very, very
Yeah.
cool.
Mm,
Phil, that's a great question, man. Phil's going deep with these questions. I was like,
mm,
wow, that's a great
mm.
question. Chuck saying the Nightwatch Zone is an awesome place for horror. Well, thank you, Chuck. I appreciate you, man. Seriously. You are all right. You are all right. Let's see. I saw another question here I wanted to throw out at you. Horror Orman saying, please ask Piz if his opinion of the fog from 2005 has changed. Piz and Jay are the best.
My opinion, and that well, okay. So my opinion is that The Fog 2005 far surpasses John Carpenter's The Fog. And that opinion, well, that opinion only grows stronger by the day. So,
Well,
of course I'm joking.
yes.
The Fog remake is horrendous. My opinion on it has not changed. I I really, at this point, thank God I don't remember the vast majority of it,
Right.
but I will never revisit the
Mm.
Fog remake.
Yeah, that to me, we did a stream once where we talked about the worst remakes of all time. That was definitely on the list. That
Mhm.
whew, man, that was just rough. It
That was
really
difficult to
was.
get through. That was
And it
thank God I had some Stoli, or I don't know if I could have made it through. I don't know if I could have made it through.
well, it's so funny because and obviously I look through a lens of being a huge Carpenter fan, so I
Mhm.
understand that and it is what it is. But his The Fog is such a really atmospheric
Oh, yeah.
film. It like gets you I don't know, man. I just feel like I'm there in that town, and it
Mhm.
it feels comfortable. These characters, I feel like I can connect to them. It's a great cast, and everyone just fits in their little spot. And I mean, it's a great movie. It
Mhm.
really,
Oh,
really is.
yeah, without question.
Yeah,
It's an incredible film. As much recognition as it gets, it still deserves more recognition.
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when people think, and I'm guilty of this as much as anyone, but obviously when people talk about Carpenter's work, they're going to talk about Halloween, they're going to talk about
Mhm.
The Thing,
Mhm.
you might hear someone mention, uh, you know, maybe Escape from New York or Big Trouble or They Live, but The Fog is usually kind of in the fourth, fifth, or sixth spot. At least conversations that I'm a part of quite a bit, but I think it really needs to be further up, way further up on that
Mhm.
list. It's a really, really solid film, and I and
Mhm.
I'm a huge Tom Atkins fan. So anytime I can
Oh,
see
yeah.
Tom, anytime I can see Tom Atkins in a movie, I'm all good.
Oh, of course. Tom Atkins is just a legend. So,
He is.
yeah.
He can do no wrong, in my opinion.
No.
Oh man. Let's see. The Dreaming Insomniacs. Joe, what's up, bro? What's up? Coming in saying always love your videos, man. Hope to collab soon. Yeah, bro. Absolutely. You know how to reach me on IG. No doubt, man. Thank you so much for being here. Seriously, much appreciated. Um, Coriander coming in again. Now, this is a good one. Now she
Mm.
asked me this, and I was like, "Oh, this is a good one." She says, "Out of Friday 13th, part 4, 6, and 7, which is your favorite and why?"
Man. The final chapter, I think, is an example of a perfect slasher movie from top to
Mm,
bottom. It's a perfect slasher movie.
mhm.
Um, and I love that whole family dynamic with the Jarvises, and the time that they spent with the family to really establish them. And of course the kids next door. You've got Crispin Glover, and you just got
Yes.
a lot of you got very memorable characters. You've got great kills. No matter how many times I see the spear gun to the groin thing, I cringe every time. I've seen it a
Right.
lot of times. Doesn't matter. Every time I cringe. Um,
Yes.
so 4 to me is a perfect slasher. I have a very, very soft spot for 7 though, because that's the very
Mhm.
first one I watched.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes. That's the very
Okay.
first Friday I watched. So
Wow.
I watch 7 more than 4 because of that
Mhm.
nostalgia factor. But 4 I think
Mhm.
is 4 is clearly the better movie. 6 is
Mhm.
technically the better movie than 7, but I watch
Yeah.
7 more often than 4 or 6. So, I don't know if
Alright.
I'd call it my favorite, but I watch it more because of
Mm.
nostalgia reasons.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I mean, I've seen I mean, obviously, I got the Scream Factory right here, so I've
Mhm,
been
mhm,
just a big fan since I was a little kid, and actually Friday 13th is the movie, the original, that got me solidified into being a horror fan
mhm,
because I figured I survived the movie because I was afraid of them, of horror
mhm,
movies, and I
mhm,
was able to make it through the movie. I was able to make it through that stinger at the end,
mhm.
with Alice and Jason coming out of the water, and that's what sent me on my journey. But 7, 5 and 7 are the ones that I have gravitated to a lot more in the last maybe decade. Those are the ones that have kind of risen up in the ranks for me. So I get what you mean.
Mhm,
Even though I don't think they're the better films, I
mhm.
agree 4 is much better. But I love 7, and I've come to really love 5, which
Oh,
which as
I've
a kid I didn't really dig it as much when I was a kid because I was wrapped up in the whole Roy thing.
yeah.
But then as I got older and I was like, okay, he's still got a freaking hockey mask on. It's so good.
Yeah, and anybody who's in the chat who's familiar with my channel they know how much I go on about A New Beginning, my love for that
Yes.
movie, so, we won't even go there, but I do wanna say if we can circle back to surprises,
Sure.
one of the one of the a great honor that was bestowed upon me, thanks to
Mhm.
YouTube, was being a part of that box set. So,
Yes.
yeah, so when I got and I knew that they were working on that box set for a while before they announced it.
Mhm.
So when, Michael Gingold reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I'm working on this documentary for Friday the 13th. Do you mind if we use your footage from the camp, from the part 1 camp that I've did the tour of a couple of
Yep.
times, actually?" And I knew exactly he didn't say it's going on a box set or anything, but I knew exactly that's where it's going. So I was like,
Yeah.
"Holy crap. Yes, of course, man. You can have whatever you want, you know?" So yeah, that's yeah, so just being a small part of that box set was yeah, that
It's
was cool.
crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy, man.
yeah.
It's like, wow. You get a chance to be a part of the franchise that you love so much, man. It's so
Mhm.
cool, man. So
Yeah,
freaking cool.
yeah.
All right. Let's see. Wigs in the chat. Hey, Wigs, saying night. I love the YouTube shorts. I've been watching them every time a new one comes out. Your voiceovers are so good. It really gets you in the horror mood and gives off that creepy vibe. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's very, very cool of you to say. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Slaughter saying, oh, this is a good one. What is your opinion on the current state of horror cinema? And do you think this decade has been good so far, or is it off to a bad start?
Um, I mean, I think the current state of horror cinema is fine. But the problem, it's not that there aren't great horror movies out there.
Hmm.
I don't think this decade's gotten off to a bad start. I think this year's kind of gotten off to a blah start for horror, but
Hmm.
I think the decade's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, you have to kind of dig deeper. I think, to find some really good stuff sometimes because the theaters are gonna be, you know, the Halloweens and the Screams and you know what I mean? The big studio horror movies. They're gonna take over the theaters.
Hmm.
And those for me are just kinda uh, I've started to make a deal with myself when I go into movies. I just wanna be entertained,
Yeah.
period. I'm not expecting you know, I think I expected too much out of Scream 5 since the radio silence people were involved.
Mhm.
And, it's not a bad movie, not a great
Mhm.
movie, but I was kind of underwhelmed. So going into 6, I was just like, okay, I just want to be entertained. I just want a good slasher, period. And I
Mhm.
thought for the most part it did that. So I was happy.
Yeah.
But I th- you know, I think the current state of horror is fine as long as you are not afraid to do a little digging to find something other than the big studio horror. If you dig a
Yeah.
little deeper and you do some research, you know what I mean, you can find movies like The Dark and the Wicked, which was my favorite movie from whatever year it came out recently,
Mm.
or a movie like uh oh gosh, a movie like Relic, which I thought was tremendous. um oh crap, there was a great movie that came out on Netflix last year, and I'm totally, but what I'm trying to say here is do your research. Don't be afraid to do some digging, looking
Yep.
through, Shutter, looking through even Tubi. Tubi's got a lot of great movies. You got to do some serious digging there,
Yes.
but they've
Yeah,
got some good movies there.
they
um
do.
so um don't be afraid to dig and do some research, because you'll find
Mhm.
some really good horror out there that's just not going to be in your
The big
theater.
ones. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, to your point, especially early, in my listening to you on your channel, that was one thing that I really digged was the fact that you were talking about, the big movies, but you talked about a lot of movies that were the unsung ones, the
Hmm.
underrated ones, the unknown gems. And man, I can't tell you how many movies, that I would jot down, that you had mentioned that I may not have known about, the more obscure stuff. And I'd be like, man, I got to check these out. And, I was just so happy to find those, and I wouldn't have, like you said, unless you're listening for it or looking for it or open-minded
Hmm.
enough when you hear a recommendation to actually check it out. And I'll be quite honest, that was one thing that I really tried to do a lot here is, obviously, talk about the things I love, which, obviously the commercial stuff is great, but there's also a lot of obscure stuff and stuff
Hmm.
that people don't talk a lot about or maybe don't know about, even foreign horror, which at some point I want to jump to that as well. But and it makes me happy because it just makes me realize as much horror as I've watched since I was a kid, growing up in the 80s, there's been a lot, but there's so much that I haven't seen. And that's a
Hmm.
great thing because there's always going to be new things to enjoy and experience,
Hmm.
it makes me feel great because like, yeah, man, I can keep rocking and rolling for a long time with
Yeah.
new
Uh,
stuff.
yeah, and that's you made a good point. I mean, there's a lot of people who I think are afraid to get out of their comfort zone with horror. Like they want their Scream. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They want
Mhm.
that movie. So, when you say, "Well, hey, have you ever what about, Dario Argento? Are you familiar with him? It's Italian, Giallo." No, no,
Mhm.
no. No, 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 not going there. No, 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 no.
Right.
It's, or even something, like I jumped on my letterbox real quick because I wanted to shout out a couple of these movies that I really liked that are just smaller movies that, didn't get a lot of love, but I think are
Mhm.
worth checking out. There was a movie that came out in 2021 called Seder that I freaking loved. There's a
Ooh.
movie called Caveat that came out in 2021. I
Mm.
absolutely adored it. If you haven't seen Saint Maud that came out in
Yes.
2021, highly recommend it.
Yes.
The Stylist, that was a great one from 2021 or maybe
Okay.
2020. And then last year, some of my favorite movies were the deep dives. There's a movie called Moloch that's on Shutter right now. You should definitely check it out.
Mm.
Dario Argento's last film, as a matter of fact, Dark Glasses. I loved it.
Mhm. Mhm.
The Innocents, I thought was incredible. Hatching, I thought was incredible. Both of those are foreign films as well.
Mm.
So, but yeah, I think that just kind of, get outside your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to do some research. Don't be afraid of subtitles. That's something that a
Right.
lot turns off a lot of people. Don't be afraid of subtitles.
Mhm.
And one of my very favorite movies from last year, it actually got a theatrical release, but it came and went so quick, was The Cursed, the werewolf movie.
Yes, I loved that. That was a good one.
Yeah, that one actually made it to theaters, but it was just
Mhm.
marketed poorly, and the title I don't think helped it, and it just came and went really quickly.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It had this different vibe to it. Like,
Mhm,
it's one of those movies that, and I love it when I watch a movie like this where I wanna keep watching it. I'm, like, so invested. I'm, like, on the edge of my seat because
mhm.
it's a different type of, werewolf movie,
Yeah,
everything about it was just different, and I loved it. It was very,
mhm,
very, very well done.
yeah, I
Yes,
agree 100%. Yeah.
yeah.
And, somebody in the chat, they brought up Renfield. Renfield's, like, my favorite movie of this year so far, and it's not even really a horror movie. So,
Nice,
yeah, it's, like, my
nice.
favorite movie of the year so far, and it's a horror comedy, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, Nicolas Cage, man, you gotta give him credit. He just keeps rocking and rolling, you know? I mean,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
I've been a Nicolas Cage fan forever, and I'm just glad to see him doing a lot of different stuff. I've loved, so many of his even more recent films, like whether it's, Color Out of Space,
Mhm.
Mandy, and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Wow, it's so cool to see him, in this part of his career really stretching his wings and doing some really crazy ass shit, man. I love
Well,
it.
the one thing you can never you can't say about Nicolas Cage, even if it was a bad movie that he just did for the paycheck, he
Mhm.
never phoned it in. He always gives it
Yeah.
100%. It's like he just
Yeah.
immerses himself in the character, whatever it is, and he's not afraid to go. He wants to go over the top. He's,
Yeah.
yeah. So, nobody goes over the top like him. So,
No. No.
I openly invite him to go over the top as much as possible. It looks like the movie that he's in that's coming out in July, something about the devil,
Oh,
sympathy
okay.
for the devil or something like that. He looks
Mhm.
like he's in rare form in that one, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Val saying, you and Corey doing Slasher Movie Club have brought to light so many movies most of us didn't even know existed. So thankful for that. Well, I appreciate that, Val. And definitely, like I said, a lot of inspiration has come from this awesome dude right here because there were a lot of things I was introduced to because of his recommendations. So I guess in a way, it's kind of like passing it on, and just trying to keep everyone open minded. Hey, Jamie, good to see you, Jamie. How you doing?
Hey,
Hope
Jamie.
you're doing well. Yeah, but yeah, I love just finding new stuff that I didn't get a chance to see before, and uncover gems.
Mm.
Gina says everyone needs to check out Murder Loves Killers 2. Night and Coriander put me onto it, and it's great. Now, can I just say, and I don't know if our good friend Drew, who directed the movie, is out there, but this was a movie. On Monday nights we do this thing called Slasher Movie Club, which has been so much fun for me and Coriander. We literally took the book called the Teenage Slasher Movie Handbook,
Mm.
and we just said every week we're going to pick a movie out of that book, whether we've seen it or not, and we're going to talk about it every week. And I think we've gotten up to maybe about 100 episodes. But long story short, this movie called Murder Loves Killers 2 was in it, and we did the episode. Really cool movie, smaller budget, a lot of inspiration from things like TCM and a little bit of Friday 13th and some other stuff. And I get a message, a comment from the director of it,
Mm.
and come to talk to him, and we'll message each other. He's a really cool dude. We had him on for an episode, and his name is Drew Barnhart, and he's just a really cool dude. And anyways, but yeah, we knew that a lot of people wouldn't know what the hell movie we were talking about because it was so obscure. It was obscure to us as well, but that's
Mm.
the joy, is what I'm getting at. That's the joy of finding movies like that. It
Mm.
really
Yeah,
is.
of course, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And
Um,
it's always great to find one like that, like a little diamond in the rough that you can really kinda, run to the hilltop and shout out and, wave the flag for, you know?
right. Yeah, because it's like, man, you feel like you found some treasure or something. It's
Mhm, mhm.
crazy.
Yeah.
Um, Anthony's in the chat saying, "Sorry I'm late. Awesome. Piz and Knight are on a live together." Yeah, man. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well, man. Horrible show saying, "Piz, have you seen Psycho Gorman?" Man, I love that one.
Yeah, I saw Psycho Gorman.
Mm.
I the sister though, the sister ruined it for me. She just annoyed me to no end.
Awesome, awesome. Let's see. We got a couple more questions in here. I know we're almost getting to that hour mark, so I want to make sure I keep track of that. Let's see. Sarah said from earlier, this was a good one. She said, "Thank God he was joking about the fog. I almost snatched his link back out of the chat."
The fog. Oh
Right.
goodness. I love somebody asked John Carpenter about it and he said, "Yeah, I showed up on the set one day. I got paid. I said hi to everybody and I left."
There you go.
Yeah.
Classic John.
I think they may have asked him, "What are your thoughts on the Fog remake?" And he was like, I was on the set one day. I got paid. Then I
There you
left."
go.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was the nicest thing he could say about it.
Love it. Love it. Uh, Brandon in the chat, welcome, saying, "What's up, Piz? Thanks for getting me into Nightwatch Zone's channel. I'll be sure to check out the rest of his content. And I love the Fog remake even more than the original."
Oh,
There you go. We started something here.
I know.
We started something. Uh, Corey Anderson, and thank you, Brandon, by the way, and welcome. Corey Anderson, Piz, what's your favorite Dario Argento movie and why? Ooh, yeah.
That's a tough one. I love so many. I mean, speaking of Carpenter, everybody talks about Carpenter's run and how many great movies he did. If you
Mm-hmm.
look at Dario Argento's run,
Mm-hmm.
um, really he had a longer and more significant run than Carpenter did. He may have had the most significant, because if you look at from the Bird with the Crystal Plumage all the
Mm-hmm.
way to Opera, and some people would even throw the Stendhal syndrome in there. I'm not a huge fan of the Stendhal syndrome, but from Bird with the Crystal Plumage to Opera, it was just one incredible film after the other, just
Yeah.
visually, um musically, stylistically,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, just the violence was off the charts.
Yeah.
So I mean, he create, yeah, he is, he fell off, but
Yeah.
man, that run from Bird to Opera is untouchable, in my opinion. My
It cemented
favorite,
him.
for sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite, man, that's a tough one. 'Cause I mean, to me, Deep Red is like the quintessential giallo.
Yeah.
The look, the feel, the kills, the murder mystery, just that whole just it's giallo. That is giallo to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I also love Tenebrae, and it's funny because the first time I saw
Mm.
Tenebrae, I didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
And then, like, every time I would revisit it, and I started to revisit it more often, it just, like, it grew and grew and grew on me, and, like,
Mm-hmm.
at this point now, it's way up there. It may be my favorite Argento. I don't know, it's that's such a hard one because, I mean, Suspiria is a classic.
Yeah.
Um, of course, Deep Red is just incredible.
Mm.
I love opera. Um, Phenomena. It's just that's such a tough question. If I had to
Mm.
pick one to watch right now, though, it'd probably be Tenebrae. So I'll go with Tenebrae.
Okay, very, very cool. And Coriander, she's a big fan of Timbre too. I remember when we talked about that, we were just giddy, because we just
Mhm.
enjoy it so much and being able to talk about it and so forth. And it's funny you mentioned Deep Red. And by the way, sweetie, thank you for that question. That was a great one. Um, but mentioning Deep Red, Jason, one of our wonderful folks in the community and good friend, says, I echo the sentiments about New Horizons and searching for untouched films. I've said it before, Night, but I'm so grateful to being introduced to Argento. I'm so fascinated by his body of work. And Jason had left a comment because he had never seen Deep Red, and we talked about it on an episode for Slasher Movie Club. And again, that was just really cool introducing someone not only to a great movie like Deep Red, but to Argento and by
Mhm,
default into Italian horror,
mhm,
it was just
mhm.
like, that's so cool,
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, very, very cool.
I think Argento was a lot of people's gateway drug into Giallo.
Mm,
He was definitely mine. But once you open those doors to Giallo, I mean, there's so many, of course, explore all the Argento stuff, but there's so many other great Giallos out there.
yeah.
Look at, Mario Bava. Mario Bava was the Italian Hitchcock. He did for Italian genre cinema what Hitchcock did for us in the US.
Mhm,
So definitely look into Bava's stuff. His son Lamberto Bava's directed a lot of great movies too.
mhm, mhm.
Um, of course, Lucio Fulci. I mean, the
Yes.
list goes on and on. There's just so much great giallo once you kick down that door to explore.
Mm, agreed. That's a great segue too. Speaking of Fulci, and I wanted to get a couple of your thoughts on this. I'm gonna bring up, obviously, talking about the Gates of Hell trilogy, which I was late to the game for this, and full credit to Coriander for getting me on board with this, and also one of our good friends in the community and a brother, Gorphobe, and we talked about City of the Living Dead, and of course the Beyond and so forth. And I mean, these movies are amazing.
Mhm,
They
mhm.
truly are, and I'm so glad I found them, and I hope that even tonight, I hope a couple people will say, "Oh, well, let me check out that stuff that they were talking
Mhm.
about." These 3 movies are fantastic. Do you have I know this is a silly question, but do you have one of these 3 that stand out a little bit more than the other, or what have you?
City of the Living Dead is my favorite.
Okay.
That's my favorite overall Fulci, because to me, that movie is just it's, it's like watching a nightmare.
Mm,
It's super foggy or it's super windy. Things don't, it's got that quality about it where if you've ever had one of those nightmares where you're running from something or you're hiding from something, and
mhm.
no matter how fast you run, it's right on your heels, whatever it is.
Yeah,
No matter
yeah.
where you hide, it always finds you.
Mhm,
That is
mhm,
City of the Living Dead for me. But I love that the gore gothic aesthetic. I love, the of course, incredible gore in that movie. It's beautiful to look at.
mm.
But that dreamy, nightmarish quality about it, to me, just puts it over the top. The Beyond is a great film too. House by the Cemetery is a great film too, but for me,
Mhm.
it's The Gates of Hell,
Nice.
AKA City of the Living Dead.
Right, yeah. That confused me at first too. I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" And,
It and
yeah.
the artwork for Gates of Hell too, that's one that back during the video store days, that one just leapt off the shelf at me.
Mm.
That was such great artwork.
Yeah, man. The artwork back then, man, it was like a part of the experience, I
Oh,
loved
yeah.
going into the video store and just hanging out, looking through the shelves for horror.
Mhm,
And seeing that image, whatever it was, seeing the image, seeing the name of it, certain movies have those names that stand out, like our good friend Jason Dyer just a minute ago said Phantasm. Remember the first time I saw that, and I was like, Phantasm,
mhm,
wow,
mhm,
that sounds trippy, freaky,
mhm,
scary,
mhm.
and it was such a and not to sound like an old fart, but for the young kids nowadays, when I talk to my little ones, they don't get it. They're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, no, it's just some artwork." It's like, no, that was like your first thing that you saw was that cover, and
Yeah.
so it was
Well,
a fun time having the video stores.
the artwork then was actual art. Somebody painted
Yes,
that. Today,
yeah,
artwork is photoshopped floating heads and just
yeah,
there's nothing artistic, about it, you know what I mean?
right,
It's a Photoshop slop, you know what I mean?
right,
Yeah,
right.
see,
Like if they, yeah,
that's artwork. Somebody
yeah,
painted that. That's artwork,
hmm,
you know what I mean? My favorite is Spookies. That is
oh
my
yeah.
favorite poster artwork of all time is Spookies.
That's a good one, man.
Yeah,
Very,
yeah.
very cool. Yeah, I mean, nowadays, you just if they were doing House by the Cemetery today, we would have, pictures of the main cast, kind of
Yeah.
all together type of
You'd
thing,
have you'd have Doctor, what's his name? The villain, like, right in the center, so there'd be no
Yes.
surprise over what he looks
Right.
like.
Right.
You'd have little Bob in the corner screaming, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you'd have some floating heads around, and that's it. That'd be it, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. It's crazy how that is, man. I miss those days, man. I really do. But of course, just like the end of the video stores and so forth, so much has changed now with film. So I guess it is what it is, man. Unbelievable. Hey Daisy, good to see you jumping in here. Now,
Hey.
Piz, I know we hit an hour, so I want to be respectful of your time for sure.
No, I mean,
Um,
we're rolling. We're rolling, so, I mean,
okay,
I'm good. I'm good if you wanna
okay.
keep rolling.
Yeah, we got a couple more questions, and just let me know, when that time hits, because we definitely hey, like I told a lot of people behind the scenes, we want you to want to come back at some point. So
Hold on. Let me get a drink to prepare myself for this. Hold on. Let me get a drink out of my Freddy flask here.
oh, a Freddy flask. Oh
Eh,
man, that is awesome. Speaking of which, uh, I've got some questions too, man. So I want to be
sure.
a little selfish too, man. The man cave is friggin' awesome. I just want to say that it's awesome.
Thank
You
you.
got some cool shit in that man cave. Do you have any anything on the horizon that you might be looking to do or change up? I'm sure every once in a while you might just move a couple things here or there, but anything on the horizon that you ever or that you'd want to do, but you may not necessarily do as far as additions or subtractions to your man cave because it's so cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I think what I what I wanna do is addition by subtraction,
Hmm.
because, anybody who collects movies or you collect masks or you collect anything, you eventually get to having space issues where you've ran
Yes.
out of space, and then you start stacking or you start just piling stuff, and then, like, your
Right.
really cool man cave starts kinda looking dumpy, you know what I mean? So, I've gotten to the point where it's like, "Okay, let me, take some of this off so that I
Hmm.
can make more room." So, I think at this point, I'm kinda trying addition by subtraction, simplifying a little bit, because you
Hmm.
don't I think, um, clutter is bad for the mind. I think it's just
Yeah.
bad for your mental health.
True.
Um, so that's something that I'm working on at this point. I'm also
Hmm.
working on I've got a spare room that's just kind of been my storage room, my junk room, really.
Hmm.
And I'm working now to clear that out because I wanna turn that into a workout room.
Okay.
So that's my latest project. It's not really in the man cave, but it's man cave adjacent, while at the same time, I'm trying to kinda, you know, simplify a little bit because there's a fine line between looking like, "Oh, well, this is cool. This is a cool man cave," to,
Hmm.
"Oh, this guy's a hoarder," you know? So, I
Yeah.
think I've been close to that point I've been accused of being a hoarder a couple of times in the past, jokingly accused, but, you get to that point, really. So, um,
Right.
yeah, that's the biggest thing at this point is just trying to create space and addition by subtraction.
Very, very cool. All right. Our good friend, hey, yo, Apollo. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Saying two of my favorite guys. Question: I hear the character of Alice may appear in the Crystal Lake series. How is that possible? If it is a prequel, she would not exist yet. Now, can I say one thing before you answer that, Piz?
Sure, sure.
First of all, I absolutely love Adrian King. And it was one of the biggest, amazing moments. Me and Coriander got to meet her in person at a convention because she's
Alright.
literally was my gateway, that movie,
Mhm.
the original, and getting through that ending with her. And she was so kind. I know you've met her.
Mhm.
She was just so amazing. I got like maybe 4 or 5 hugs from the Adrian King. So I was like
Mhm.
I'm still on cloud 9, and this was like 2 years ago. But
Yeah.
I'm super excited about Crystal Lake. So I'll let you answer Apollo's question because actually I was going to ask you about that too. Any thoughts on it or how excited you may be for Crystal Lake?
Well, I've met Adrian King 3 times, I think, and she is just such a sweet, lovely person.
Yes.
So she's
Yes.
incredible. If you have the
Mhm.
opportunity to meet Adrian King, you definitely should. As a matter of fact, I've met
Mhm.
most of the final girls from the Friday the 13th series, and they've all been
Mm.
super cool, super nice.
Mm.
So,
Nice.
but Adrian King is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
She
yeah,
is.
so nice, so nice. Um, the series, we had such a dry spell for Friday the 13th, official Friday the 13th for all those years that I think
Yes.
any Friday the 13th related official stuff is great. So
Mhm.
the series, I don't know how they're going to make it work, but it's in good hands. And
Mhm.
I know that Brian Fuller is a fan of the series, so it's in good hands at the very least. And I know that
Mhm.
he wants to pay a lot of tribute to the series. So he's going to be
Mhm.
bringing in a lot of familiar faces
Mhm.
from from the series. So,
Yeah. It's very cool. I can't wait
yeah.
to see what they come up with. I really
But
can't.
I think what's cool too is like, of course it's not just going to be about Jason every week or every day or whatever, every episode.
Mhm.
It's going to be an expanded universe and whatnot. I apologize if you guys can hear that.
Oh, no
Let me
problem at
see.
all.
Um, but yeah, so I think it's a cool idea, and
Mm.
it's in good hands, and I don't know, we'll see what happens. But there, also they're developing a movie somewhere, so
That's right.
we're gonna have a new Friday movie. We know we're getting the TV series. We're
Mhm.
gonna get a new movie, and we're gonna get a new video game.
Yes. Yes. I'm all for it, man. I'm all
So
for it. Jason's our guy, man. We love us Friday 13th, so I cannot wait. And like you said, it's been a long spell, man. I was just talking this morning, if someone had told me we would be what 14 years without a Friday 13th movie, I would have been like, yeah, right. I'm not gonna buy that. So it's been a long, long dry spell, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm glad we're gonna be getting some stuff coming up. That's the good news.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. Uh, we got a couple people. This is really cute. Dice says, I watched City of Living Dead for the first time about a week or so ago. That's awesome, Dice. I'm glad you saw it. And Mayanne says, I just watched City of Living Dead today. Awesome, guys. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Man says, "What do you think the ending means on the movie?" I'm still intrigued. It does have a crazy ending for City of the Living Dead.
Oh, City of the Living Dead. Yeah, I don't.
Mm,
I think that
right?
ending. I think that ending is like we didn't know how to end it, so that's the kind of ending you got. Um, Pretty much. I think that was the ending. We don't know. We don't quite know how to end it, so that's your ending. But I mean,
Right.
I guess the ending is supposed to imply that the evil was not suppressed. The evil was not stopped.
Yes, yes.
So
That's what I get out of it too. Yeah, definitely. No doubt about that at all. Um, our good friend Carrie is in the chat, coming in with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Carrie, so much. You are awesome. Saying, sorry, I'm missing most of this. Showing love, and Knight is honored to talk with someone he's inspired by. So therefore, it's an honor. Piz, much, much love. You guys are all right. Oh man. Travis is in the chat saying, hope you guys are well. You can ban me for being the guy who thinks Jason Goes to Hell is the best Jason movie, if you'd like. No, we won't ban you, but people on the channel, they know I got issues with Jason Goes to Hell. I can enjoy it. And one of our best friends, Eric, absolutely loves Jason Goes to Hell. So, we like to bust each other's chops a lot with it. It's not my favorite, but I did see it in the theater.
I love Jason Goes to Hell. It was not only the first Friday the 13th movie I saw in the theater, it was the very first movie I saw in the theater, period.
Wow. Okay.
And I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. I went to watch Jason Goes to Hell on a Sunday evening with a church youth group.
All right.
After church, a bunch of us loaded up into one of the guy's mother's van, and we went and watched Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I can only imagine how that went.
That was a great experience.
Nice. Oh, man. Well, I've said this so many, so I won't go into, these guys have heard me, I like to have fun with it because Friday is my favorite horror franchise, and I can watch all of them, multiple times, including Jason Goes to Hell. But for me, it was just, I don't know, man. To me, it's a good horror film, or it's a pretty good horror film. But as far as Friday film, that's when I had some issues with it. And my best bud, Eric, not only does he love it, he loves it. He says that it's one of his favorite horror films of the 90s. And I'm like, wow, dude, that's some stuff right there. But I just thought that some of the mythology just didn't line up. It has gone up in my rankings because we've ranked the franchise a couple times, and it has gone up. At one point, it was near the bottom. I think it was the bottom, but it's come up a few spots. Do you enjoy the change of the mythology that occurs in that film? Because obviously they were trying to do something different, and I can appreciate that. Being the 9th film in a long-standing franchise, you want to try something different. But how did you feel about the changes they made to the mythology, like, the dagger and, his sister and the body hopping, which I know they got inspired by The Hidden. They had to have. But anyways.
You know what? It never bothered me.
Yeah.
But I was so when I first saw it in the theater, I was just so thrilled to not only be watching a movie in the theater for the first time, but to be watching a Friday the 13th. So it didn't bother me. It's really never bothered me. Like if the movie came out today and I went and watched it, I'd be like, what the hell is this slug thing? Like, this isn't Friday the 13th. Jason's only in it for 5 minutes. What were they thinking?
Right.
But I've never had an issue with that. So I don't know. Maybe it's just, I've never had an issue with it. So it'll always have a special place in my heart because it was the first one I saw in the theater and the first movie I ever saw in the theater. And I went with the church youth group to watch it. So it's like,
I get it. It, man. 80s kid saying I'm a little late to the conversation, but the Beyond's closing scene, this was another thing I was going to talk about. The hopelessness is one of the best in the genre. It really, really is, man.
Yeah, that ending is just perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's like, wow, they went through all of that and then boom. Yeah. That's your ending. Very poetic.
But very poetic, yeah, and very, very much Fulci. Very Fulci.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, when they think Fulci, they just think gore or violence. But a lot of his movies are very poetic. They're covered in gore, but poetic nonetheless. So that Gates of Hell trilogy to me that's his. That's his poetry. Those are
top of the game.
Yeah.
Let's see. I saw something else in here too. 80s kid also saying the other thing that no CGI can produce is the magic of practical effects, especially in horror. A scary, well-made puppet can be much better than CGI at least 90% of the time.
Oh,
I agree with that.
yeah, I'd say 100% of the time, honestly, because
Mm,
especially, I mean, you would think with all of these advancements in technology that the CGI would just be insane. But like
yeah.
literally, like if you compare Jurassic Park CGI to
Hmm.
CGI from a movie today, it's night and
Yes,
day. It's a
it
million times
is.
better. And Jurassic Park came out how long ago?
1993.
Yeah. So we've had all these advancements and the CGI sucks. You know what I mean? Like it's just not even seeing there's nothing scary about a CGI monster. There's just nothing
Mm,
scary about it because it's like the Boogeyman, which came out recently.
yeah.
There's nothing scary. Like the Boogeyman's, I thought the Boogeyman was like, I mean, the Boogeyman's a big deal, right? I mean, he's a big deal. It's the
Hmm.
Boogeyman, right? But it's just
Right.
some CGI little creepy thing that's crawling on the wall.
Yes,
That's not
indeed.
scary. And
Hmm.
it screams CGI the first time you see it. And it's just there's
Yeah.
nothing scary about CGI.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
get it. It's cheaper for them to
Hmm.
make.
Hmm.
It lowers the costs, but at the same time, it's you're lowering the effectiveness and the quality of your movie.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I mean, I always think back to, I mean, there's so many great wizards, behind the camera, like Rob Bottin, and it makes me think of like Carpenter's The Thing versus the 2011 The Thing, which it's night and day, as far as the practical effects versus the CGI. I mean, and it's crazy to see that difference between the two films because it's so right in your face. That 2011 movie, although I like it, it's just so evident that it's just it's just crazy. And they wanted to do practical. They wanted to honor the Carpenter movie, but I guess the
Mhm.
studios kind of got involved and they wanted to kind of smooth out some of the
Yeah.
practical stuff that they had been working on and so forth. It's a shame because I really liked the movie, but that
I
CGI kind of takes me out of it.
I don't remember very much about the movie, to be honest, other than the
Hmm.
bad CGI, and that
Hmm.
completely took me out of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
It did. It really, really did, man. Um, Coriander. This is funny. Coriander says, Piz, can Knight and I play some Friday trivia with you and Jeremy?
If you think you can compete with Jeremy, I don't know. You might
She
get you might get
That's funny,
embarrassed. Jeremy knows his
right?
stuff. Jeremy knows
She
his stuff.
loves she loves watching you guys do that. She's like got the please up. You're too funny, girl.
We
Jeremy is good, man.
we've been talking about doing another trivia challenge. We just have to figure out some logistics, but those
Yeah.
are always fun. And of course,
Mhm.
Jeremy's a Jeremy something else during those because he wants to answer his questions and my questions. So he just,
Yeah.
so yeah, we've been planning on doing another trivia challenge. Hopefully we'll do that soon.
That is awesome. Very, very cool. Jamie saying the horrible CGI monster in The Thing 2011 was just awful. Wrecked the ending. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
What's up to
Yeah.
Bacon? Good to see you.
What's up, Bacon?
Um, and our good friend Ronan coming in and wow, Ronan gifting a membership. Thank you so much, man. That is so cool. And it looks as though that Jen was gifted a membership. Thank you so much, man. You're just awesome. Always so supportive for the channel. Thanks a lot, Ronan. That's very, very cool of you, bro. Seriously. Um, and we've got Sir James in the chat. What's going on, Sir James? He has a super chat coming in saying, please no more Jason movies. Let him stay. It's funny that Scream 6 is a complete ripoff on Jason Takes Manhattan. Ah.
Well, I think, I think the old favorites can coexist with the new blood.
Mhm.
There will always be an audience for new Friday the 13th, I mean, clearly, I mean, look at how much money the latest Halloween trilogy made. So I mean, come
Yes.
on. There's lots of money in those nostalgia, you know.
Yeah.
So there's still the problem is, like I was saying earlier, you know, the Halloweens and the Screams, they're going to dominate the theaters, while the good new original stuff you've got to dig for, and
Yeah.
you've got to put forth the effort to find. It's just they're not just going to offer it to you. Even when a movie goes to Netflix, it's not going to be promoted on Netflix.
Right.
You've got to search for it. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
You do.
So, um, you there's always going to be a spot, and I love those movies. If they put them out, I'm going to watch them. I can't not. But
Hmm.
I would love for there to be just as much room at the theater for Scream 6 as there would be for A Dark and the Wicked, or
Mm,
Moloch, or you know, something like that.
definitely. I totally agree with that. Um, Ronan also coming in again, man. You are wow, man. That is totally amazing. Gifting another membership to Cody. Hey, Cody. Great. Ronan saying, thought I'd do one more. You're too kind, man. I'll tell you, when YouTube implemented that, that was just really, I think it's a cool thing. And it just shows, um, it's a kind thing to do, man. It's so
Mhm,
kind to do that for
mhm.
someone. But Ronan, thank you so much, man. It's very cool of you. Seriously. Captain Halloween saying, hello, Piz. Night and
What's up?
everyone.
What's up, man?
Very
How you
cool.
doing?
Yeah. Our good friend Anthony from Child of the Corn coming in with a super chat. He always has great questions for us in the community, saying, yo, Piz, I love stage fright. Is it a top 10 Giallo?
Yes. I would say it's a top 10 giallo.
Wow, nice, nice. Very cool. I enjoyed it a lot. I'd have to think about that, but I did enjoy it a lot. And I was late to the game with Stage Fright. We talked about it. We actually did a watch party for it, and
Mhm.
it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah. Michele Soavi, I wish he had done more, because he was a really talented filmmaker. Um,
Mm,
you know, Stage Fright, The Church, of course, Cemetery Man. Cemetery Man's just a masterpiece.
yes. Yes. Absolutely agreed. Yep. That's a favorite of Corey Andrews as well. Hopefully
Love it.
we're gonna be talking about that hopefully soon. But yeah, you're right. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anthony. We appreciate you, and that's a great question, man. Seriously. Sir James also coming in with another super chat. Thank you, Sir James, saying practical special effects is the best, hands down. CGI is like music of today. Auto tune trash. That was
It's
good.
true. It's true. It's true.
Oh man, that was cool. Sir James, you're all right, man. I like that. That was a great parallel. I have to agree. I really do.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It's a good
Um,
analogy. Good comparison.
yeah, I definitely agree. It is a good one. We got a couple more questions here real quick. I'm gonna jump to these real quick, guys, because
Okay.
we are running up against the clock. Retro saying my all-time favorite zombie movie is still the 1990 remake of Night of the Living Dead. What did y'all think of Night of the Living Dead 1990 remake? It is my favorite movie, hands down. Ooh, okay. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like the 1990 remake a lot.
Hmm.
Um, I really like what they did with the Barbara character in that one, and I really like the actress who
Yeah.
played Barbara. And of
Yeah,
course Tony
Patricia
Todd.
Tallman, she was great.
Patricia Tallman was great. Yeah.
Mhm.
And of course Tony Todd, anything Tony Todd, I love Tony Todd.
Mm,
But yeah, really like the cast. Of course, the makeup effects are fantastic.
mhm.
It's you're doing a remake of one of the most influential horror films of all, maybe the most influential horror film of all time, honestly.
Mm.
So I mean, you're definitely you know, you're 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 you, your back's against the wall. So
Yes.
I think I think
Yes.
I think it turned out really well, though. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. And like you were saying, Patricia was amazing in the movie, and I thought it was really cool to see that difference, in the Barbara character.
Mhm,
No disrespect at all to Judith O'Dea
mhm.
from the original Night of the Living Dead. The original Night of the Living Dead, I'll never forget first seeing that at my grandmother's house on a Saturday night. She had an older house. It was kind of creepy in there. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And Night of the Living Dead, George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, scared the crap out of me as a little kid. And I'll never forget that. But it's still um, one of my favorites of all time, not just as a zombie movie, but just as a horror movie or just as a movie in general. So yeah, the remake was up against it. It
Oh, yeah.
really, really was.
Big time, big time.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Um, and Ronan coming in again. Good gosh, man, gifting another membership to our good friend Stephen Gervais and Friends podcast. I was just on his show the other week. A new friend, and he's really really cool. I'm sure he appreciates that so much. Ronan, you're a rock star, brother. You're a rock star, and just being so kind to this community. It just like I was telling Piz even before we started, there's so many of you guys here that just look out for each other and are so kind. It's so nice to see that. I don't want to sound like I'm on a soapbox, but it's just so nice to see that type of kindness in the world. We need more of it, and you guys always looking out for each other, checking on us, checking on each other, messaging us, and it's cool, man. It's so cool. Yeah. Well, I'm going to get ready to call this. I know Piz is being very kind, staying with us for this extra half an hour. But like I said earlier, we want to be able to ask him to come back at some point, and obviously a lot more to talk about. I had a whole list of questions. I probably got through just half of them because you guys did a hell of a job asking him great questions. Um, and speaking of which, Sir James, Sir James just jumped in saying, I hope Rob Zombie doesn't do Halloween again. After that debacle, he just needs to take up stamp collecting. Right on, man. Right on. Thank you, Sir James. Seriously, you rock too, man. Ronan, no words, man. No words. Thank you. Um, and Jamie's giving Piz the hearts. Jamie, you're all right too. You're
Thank you,
all
Jamie.
right. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, first of all, thank all of you guys for joining us here tonight. This was seriously, you guys have made me a happy person because you guys were asking amazing questions and just showing how amazing you guys are as a community to someone that I've looked up to for years. And I appreciate that from every single one of you guys here in the live chat. Thank you so very much. Piz, once I hit the outro, it just runs for about 5 seconds. If you could just hold on for one quick minute, you
Of
know,
course.
and then I can be selfish enough to say goodbye to you. But
Of course.
but as far as on here, man, again, thank you so much. Seriously, this has been an amazing time to get to talk to you a little bit, get to know you, and just like seeing you on your videos, you're just so down to earth. I think that's one of the things that drew me into you so much is that you just seem like the type of person that if I saw you in that video store and we were both looking through the horror section and we kind of had a chance to talk, we could just have an easy conversation. And I think you
Mhm.
display that so easily in your content. And I really appreciate that as a viewer and a fan.
Oh. Well, I'm getting choked up here. Um, but thank you. Yeah, thank you for the kind words and shout out to everybody in the chat for all the great questions and for hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely I'll be back in the future if you want.
That's a guarantee, my friend. That's a guarantee. Corey Anderson, great stream. Piz, you're the best. Yes, he is. He really
Thank you.
is.
Thank
Very,
you.
very cool. Yes. All right, guys. So you guys know the drill. Leave some comments. If you do have some more questions, feel free to throw them in the comment section. Who knows? Maybe we can get them to Piz. And like I said, we'll hopefully do this again at some time in the future. And, this has been amazing. So hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed to Piz, you know what you got to do. Hit that link. It's in the live chat. It's in the description of this video. hit it, go over there. You will not be disappointed, and you're going to learn a lot about movies and horror in general. So definitely do that. So we will catch you guys next time. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.